And we are live. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Whether you're viewing live or you're viewing later. We're looking at the sun in 304 angstroms. This is the last 48 hours of activity in that wavelength. We see some filaments around the edge of the disk. We're going to talk Parker Solar Probe. We're going to talk the 50th anniversary of the first moon landing and more. First, we're going to give you 1 minute of lead time, so stay tuned and give us 1 minute. We will be right back. All right, so lots of stuff to cover. Let's get to it. Let's look at another view here. Excuse me. 193 angstroms view, 48 hours. We see some diffuse coronal holes in the south. The majority of the North Pole coronal hole rotating out of the Earth-facing region. Otherwise, not a lot of activity, very, very low solar activity. Let's look at magnetic lines. We use 94 angstroms for this. And there are the magnetic lines. This data back up to date, folks. So if you want to view the potential field strength lines, it is now there once again. Let's look at the LASCO C2 here as Venus swings into view, giving us a great view of Venus as it begins its trip around to the backside of the sun. We do also see some ejecta coming out there, especially on the eastern portion, out in this region. I'm sorry, the western portion. Anyway, great image of Venus there as the gift plays through. And we'll move on to some more stuff like the real-time solar wind, which is quite low and quite diffuse. Slow and low, that is the tempo. 2.03 protons per cubic centimeter and 323 kilometers per second is the velocity. So very low solar wind speed. If you're not familiar with where the planets are located, that's where they are now. That's where they'll be in 7 days as new moon approaches. And Mercury swings out of the Venus, Sun, Mercury, Earth conjunction. Going to look at stereo A real quick. This is the coronagraph. If you're not familiar with stereo A, what the hell happened? All right, I lost my place. If you're not familiar with stereo A, you're a new viewer. Stereo A is located about here on Earth's orbit, viewing solar activity before it rises to face the Earth. Anyway, here's the view from that coronagraph, similar to the LASCO C2 on Earth, well, in earthly region. We do see some pulsations there on the far side of the sun. Let's blow it up full screen for a minute. We do see some ejecta, as well as some very dark spots in the corona there. So there should be some interesting space weather rising soon. But for now, not a lot going on the solar disk. We'll look at magnetosphere movies as we do most days and see a very weak magnetosphere. We'll look at the pressure, the density, and the geospace ground perturbations, delta B, changes in the Earth's B field. Anyway, here's the density. Note that the low density is shown in white and the high density is shown in dark blue. So there's the density. That's 4 hours of data courtesy University of Michigan. Here's the pressure. Very low pressure. Here are the magnetic ground perturbations for all you pole flip, pole shift, pole reversal, geomagnetic pole excursion enthusiasts. Again, changes in the Earth's B field. That's the field that goes through the magnet, folks. Not to be confused with the Z fields, which are the cone-shaped fields that come out of the poles in this case. Not a lot of perturbations. Nothing to write home about. Nothing to write home about there. If you're interested in what's going on above your head, check out in-the-sky.org. Make your own sky map. Make your own sky map, and you'll see that Saturn's about to set, and the moon's still pretty high on the ecliptic. In-the-sky.org. Check out Zooniverse.org, the largest citizen science project in the world. Check out the Galaxy Zoo project. We need humans to classify galaxies. Check out smAsho.org, perhaps. Our mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, to raise awareness of the general public of the relationship between space, weather, and Earth effects, since mankind doesn't control Earth weather, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon for obvious reasons, and to not be ossified in our beliefs. What do you think? If you like the mission, support the channel via places like Patreon, where we will give you cutting-edge stuff before we release it, even on the YouTube channel. So if you think we come up with stuff fast on the YouTube channel, open up your dust-covered wallet, let the moths fly out, and send $1 to the Patreon channel. And you'll see all kinds of useful stuff, like the more than 5 meters of snow on Greenland. Not that we don't cover that every day on the space weather videos. Anyway, as you may have noticed, regular viewers, we are a bit critical of Google. So head over to China Uncensored on YouTube and watch this video, which has been demonetized, surprisingly.
Treason.
I mean, I'm sure you'll be very surprised to hear that Google's been accused of treason. It's just because they're working with the Chinese military and not the US military to develop their AI.
Protests erupt in a Hong Kong mall, and US companies are leaving China.
Anyway, check it out over at China Uncensored. That is a YouTube channel. And you may have trouble finding it because, of course, China Uncensored is shadow banned, although they have like 80,000 subscribers, I think. So anyway, heads up and shout out China Uncensored. Again, we try to be cutting edge here on this channel, and we release information a bit before everybody else, like sometimes years, months, weeks, etc. The whole point of the channel is to give people the most advanced notice they can get. Check out PayPal if you want to make some anonymous donations instead of becoming a monthly patron. One-time donations available at paypal.me/smAsho. Check out the Spaced Out campaign, also available in the links in the description box below the video. Just click on that. Click on the Hemp Lucid Spaced Out campaign if you want to buy some CBDs. Sales right now on hemp seed oil suspension, whole plant, MCT oil suspension, isoterp, THC free, and more. Again, links in the description. Also to the cycling team, theveloshop.net, and the original music regularly featured on these videos. This particular track is available. This one is actually available on SoundCloud. It's called Journey to the Center of the Hearse. It doesn't mean go kill yourself. Anyway, check out SoundCloud. Links in the description. And I'm pretty sure this one's on there. Anyway, some older, weirder stuff available there. Were you aware that lunar craters were named after the Apollo 11 crew? It looks almost like Orion's belt, where the Moltke crater would be Betelgeuse. See what I mean there? It looks like Orion's belt a little bit. See what I'm saying? Anyway, that's where the landing site was, right in between the Buckle and Betelgeuse. And they named these after Armstrong, Collins, and Aldrin. As Armstrong orbited the moon, having nightmares about the idea that Collins and Aldrin could possibly not make it back to the command module. Anyway, check it out on spaceweather.com. One of our favorite spaced out websites. Shout out spaceweather.com. Also, shout out to Ben Davidson. Spaceweathernews.com. More data there. X-ray flux totally flatline. Very limited solar activity. We see cosmic ray flux on the Discover Solar Wind, as that is anomalous solar wind data. Magnetometer looking smooth. KP index has been at 0. So for the last 6 hours, KP of 0. Cosmic ray alert, folks. We'll look at cosmic rays in one moment. Electron flux is looking smooth and at a nominal range. Charging hazards are non-existent. F2 layer is looking very discharged on both the day and nighttime sides. We'll click on that for a moment. Okay, yeah, very discharged, making for cold nights in the southern hemisphere. We're going to talk about atmospheric physics in a moment via a brilliant video via Thunderbolts project. Aurora forecasts are looking weak. Anyway, stay tuned. We've seen a reduction here in the greater than 2 mega electron volt electron fluence. That's the relativistic electrons. Here's the Gong 2 data. This data 1 hour and 13 minutes old, so pretty current this time. And as I stated earlier in the video, you do see some significant activity going on here around stereo A. And that's probably a sunspot there. You see the way this plasma looks like it's suspended and all bunched up there. That's the kind of thing that obscures part of the corona, otherwise known as a sunspot, most assuredly. And this is a little more accurate than even trying to look at images. So anyway, there's the Gong 2 data. Moving on. Check us out on other social media if you like, such as Instagram, to see some non-space weather related stuff, like pro driving tips and shots from inside the bike shop and images of the best breakaway I've ever seen in the Tour de France. This Thomas de Gent breakaway lasting about 200 kilometers from about the first kilometer of the race and winning the stage by about 6 seconds. We're also on Twitter, twitter.com/smashamash. We're also on Feces Book. That's right. That's FACEBOOK.com/smashamash. Feces Book, the social media that will censor you, will shadow ban you, and will put you in some kind of weird category as a white supremacist or possibly even a Russian bot. So check us out, facebook.com/smashamash. It'll be a great adventure into some of the worst software on the internet. Check us out on Gab also, gab.com/smashamash, providing us with this lovely white screen as there's nothing loaded for some reason. We'll just hit refresh and hope for the best. Gab.com/smashamash. Check out the thumbnail from yesterday's video where we talked about the Federal Reserve and poop. They are related, folks. They are related. Also on Mines. Yeah, we were on Mines Vietnam because we post our videos there. Turns out folks actually watch them in the Far East. And for some reason, our thumbnails have been screwed up. We blame Google for it because YouTube is a scam. I don't know if you were aware. I know you YouTube viewers out there, you are seeing ads on these videos. You probably think that means we're getting paid for this. And let me dispel that notion immediately. We do not get paid a single penny from YouTube or Google. But if you like the videos, support the channel via the links in the description. Otherwise, the channel could vanish. By the way, we are going to buy a mic probably today, folks. So we'll give you an update since our patrons essentially bought our new microphone, making my voice sound even more luscious and velvety than it already does. Press like and subscribe for the video on YouTube, as it's all over social media, and yet we still have 1,345 subscribers. Please leave a comment if you're unable to find our channel by typing in the URL or anything else into search engines that are complete scams like Google, which only return bias search results. Please don't use Google as a verb, because Googling something is simply returning biased search results. Let's go back to space. Thank you, Donald Scott. Shout out Donald Scott. New evidence of Birkeland currents passing through the planet. Well, gee, I don't talk about that every day or nothing. Let's play a clip from this Thunderbolts Project video where he's looking at null school and things like Hall currents. Depicted as the fingers perpendicular to the thumb, direction of current. I'm sure our regular viewers will understand what I'm talking about. So please make an effort to understand atmospheric physics.
Current that causes that rotation. And then during the northern hemisphere winter, that is perihelion, the Earth is closest to the sun. The North Pole is pointed away from the sun. The South Pole is directed toward the sun.
Anyway, the point is, this is the way it works, folks. In the spring, in the northern hemisphere, and fall in the southern hemisphere, we have an out-in. In the summer in the northern hemisphere, winter in the southern hemisphere, we have an in-in, where you gain charge at the farthest distance. The planet loses charge at the nearest distance. That's what you really need to know. Anyway, watch the video and continue watching our channel. You may understand atmospheric physics as a result. We've got links to that in the description as well as to this. And here's what's going on in the high altitude winds over Antarctica right now. Now, if you've ever seen a polar vortex before, that's what you would call a polar vortex. And here's what's going on in the north as convective forces rule the north. Anyway, check out Null School. I know we've had requests to put this on the regular videos, and maybe we'll keep it as a regular section. If you want to mess with this, just click Earth. Here's the 250 altitude, flight level 25,000. As you see, convective forces ruling the northern hemisphere. And that barely resembles a jet stream. It's more like a jet maze. While in the southern hemisphere, there actually is a jet stream. Anyway, let's move on to earthquakes. I set it up custom to get through this quickly and keep the videos short, or as short as possible. We're only doing 4+ magnitude quakes here to make it easier to scroll. Here we see a 4.5 at Broome, Australia. Please leave a comment if you felt that quake. 5.5 at India, right on the plate boundary. That's around Tibet, it looks like. 4.7 in India, same location, looks like an aftershock. 4.5 at the Philippines. Here's a 5.3 at Greece, probably caused some damage. Please leave a comment if you experienced that quake or have any information about how much damage it did. That was about 18 hours ago or so. Also a 4.2 aftershock, a 4.4 at the Philippines. Here's a deep quake in Afghanistan, heads up in Afghanistan for a larger quake around a 5 magnitude at the surface, as that quake was at 230 kilometers depth. Here's a 4.9 at Indonesia, a 5.4 at India, a 4.6 at Australia, a 4.4 at Russia. That one's at depth also, south of Kamchatka, 4.5 at Guatemala, a 4.4 at Japan, a 4.5 in Indonesia. That Japanese quake there, 4.4 magnitude, was at 105 kilometers depth, and a 4.0 at Indonesia. Here are the pressure maps. And I have absolutely nothing to say about that. Here's a volcano rundown. We got a new volcano on the list, Ubinas, located in Peru. A stratovolcano with an 18,609 foot peak, currently erupting. So when you see that on the list, that's where it is. Anyway, Sanjiang Api exploding and producing a 14,000 foot ash plume. So uptick at Sanjiang Api in Indonesia. Dakota exploding once again. 6,000 foot ash plume there. Popocatépetl. Come on, say it aloud, folks. Popocatépetl. You know you want to do it. Possible emissions. Revenador, volcanic ash detected in satellite, and Sabancaya unable to detect. Must be cloudy. And there's Ubinas. Sending plumes to 40,000 feet of altitude. Close to the stratospheric boundary, folks. Seismic activity is also high with around 400 earthquakes a day. The alert level has been raised to orange. Pretty scary volcano, folks. Let's hope it doesn't explode in too big of a way. Cause the planet to further cool. Check out lightningmaps.org next time you hear thunder, as it could save your butter from being vaporized by blue plasma from the sky. U.S. Doppler radar indicating some kind of a Sasquatch party going on in Texas. Let's zoom in on that. As Texas gets a respite from all of the incredibly harsh weather, and it gets replaced with some benevolent Chewbacca-like figures. Coming out of a persistent gateway, a portal to another dimension. Please leave a comment if you're viewing our videos from another dimension, or if you're viewing them from a different multiverse, or perhaps a different plane of existence, whatever you want to call it, or a different planet, solar system, galaxy, spacecraft. Or if you're in interstellar space, leave a comment. Let us know where you are, as cosmology is ultimately my prime focus. Some heavy storms over South Dakota. Not going to cover it. We're going to look at this crazy convergence zone, which has totally decided to move south now. It's dumped a lot of moisture in Lake Michigan. Check it out. Watch all the water vapor vanish. Anyway, here are your Hall current streamers. You see the motion of water is basically to the east here, which is why you see all these straight lines pointing nearly north and south. There's your Hall currents in the atmosphere, as we show practically every day, since some of us understand atmospheric physics and some of us don't. Lots of lightning going on in the Gulf of Mexico region, southern Texas, central Mexico, and the Caribbean, as convective forces rule the day there also. Practically no prevailing winds at all. Keep an eye on that stuff, as that could build quite quickly. One more zoom, we're going to look at that area on South Dakota. as we see evidence of cosmic ray flux all over the place, and zero evidence of chemtrails, HARP, or any other ridiculous ideas about geoengineering, just natural processes that go a hell of a lot deeper than the atmosphere. We'll just leave it there. By the way, here's the "that is an ass and that is a hole in the ground" section of the video. And wow, thanks for all the comments, folks. I'll never get through all those. I'm going to try to display them all on the screen momentarily. Let's move on. Let's talk nutrition for a real quick moment. Ever hear of nitrites? Sodium nitrite? Well, go to the grocery store and check out something like hot dogs or ham or bacon. You'll notice that toward the bottom of the list, you'll see an ingredient called sodium nitrate. I could have sworn I put in sodium nitrite. Are you going to make a liar out of me? All right, here we go. Anyway, sodium nitrite, not so good for you. We're not going to get into the chemical processes that happen, but let's just say it's not the best thing for you because of the nitrosamine that gets produced when you do things like eat it or cook it or cure it. So this is the reason why, quote, processed meats and, quote, are bad for you. Sodium nitrite. If you avoid this in your diet, you will benefit. If you want to buy hot dogs, buy uncured ones. If you want to buy bacon, buy uncured bacon. Ham, buy uncured ham. It takes a little bit of extra care to not allow it to heat up to room temperature. But it's all worth it, as you can eat these products without the sodium nitrite. So get it out of your diet if it's not already out. And that's today's human health nutrition section. It can be done because there's a lot of crap on the shelves out there. If you'd like to purchase some elephant crap, head to Poop Senders, the original Poop Senders, poopsenders.com. We're not paid to say this, folks. We just realized that some folk could certainly use 1 quart of gorilla poop. By the way, each package contains the following business card right inside the poop. You've been pooped on by, you want to know whom? Well, they'll never tell you, as privacy is their #1 priority. The first rule of Poop Sender is you don't talk about Poop Sender. Wait, I think you did. We talk about Poop Senders, poopsenders.com. I think we did. We're breaking the rules here, folks. We're breaking the rules. Let's define a term, moonshot, which literally means a spacecraft mission to the moon, or a hit or thrown ball with very high trajectory. Like if you throw a frisbee straight up in the air and it comes down and bangs you on the head, you produced a moonshot there. And we try to produce
Cogent
conversations on this channel. Again, thanks for leaving comments, everybody. We're going to scroll through them in a moment, so please bear with us. Links to this article also in the description below the video. Please click on that right after you click on Patreon and decide to send us $1 a month. You will receive stuff in a time-released fashion on a regular basis. We regularly do time releases just for the patrons. So there's going to be an interesting little situation going on in Washington where the Apollo Saturn V rocket gets projected onto the Washington Monument. It's going to be totally awesome. So read the article about that to mark the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. Scroll through these comments here. Thanks everybody for joining and taking the time to type something. Especially if you're using something like a Google keyboard, because the Gboard is enough to make me want to stab myself in the intestines and spend the morning in the ER instead of at work. I'm just going to have to scroll through the comments, folks. I apologize for the dead air. And I have no idea what people are talking about. And for that, we apologize. You lost me, folks. You lost me. And this is prone to happen. Expect to see it happen more as the channel continues to grow. You want to hear a horrifying survey? #1 career choice for American kids is to be YouTubers. Guess what it is for the Chinese? Astronauts. Sounds like some bad news to me. What do you think? Turns out a study by Harris found the #1 career choice for American kids is to become a YouTuber. Now, I'll get rich. I'll just avoid getting famous because I'm smart enough to know how unfortunate it is to be famous. Fame is a liability, folks. So if you're out there hoping to get famous, get rid of that stupid idea immediately. You don't want to be famous. You want to be rich. Fame is a liability. Riches are an asset. Understand the difference. Most of us prefer to go into public without wearing a disguise. Part of the reason why you tend to see me wear sunglasses when I show my face on this channel. Anyway, links to this article also. This one authored by Paul Joseph Watson, and I'll probably have the video demonetized by saying the words Paul and Joseph and Watson in the same sentence. So again, support the channel, since Google will certainly not do so. In fact, they'll try to shake us down for money, at which we will laugh and hang up on the idiot that called us. Now, Google has tons of incompetent employees. They've got all kinds of contractor staff that aren't employees. And talk about incompetence. One of the worst software authors in the history of mankind, making Microsoft look like some kind of a super genius. Let's talk about Reuters graphics. So today's the 50th anniversary of NASA putting a man on the moon, following the Gemini missions and the Mercury missions. Finally, the Apollo program kicked off in 1963, only 1 year after JFK proclaimed that we're going to send people to the moon and bring them back safely. Finally, on the 20th, it happened. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, there should be some very interesting celebrations tonight. We don't want to talk about this too much, as we will step on the toes of every media organization on Earth. Links to this Reuters graphics also in the description below this video. The Soviets landed 8 times. And following the landing on the moon, they spent nearly an entire day there. They spent actually 20 plus hours on the surface of the moon. Returning on the 24th, splashing down safely. One of the greatest engineering achievements in the history of mankind. So the Russians also landed there several times. Eight Russian landings, not with humans, just with probes. 2 landings by the Chinese, who have returned the highest resolution data that we've ever seen of parts of the surface, especially the dark side. If you want to see the dark side, just spin the moon. And thanks to China, we're getting parts that folks have never seen. Isn't it weird how all the major seas face the Earth? You think that's a coincidence, folks? Oh, yeah. Astronomy's fun. Anyway, the mission almost didn't work. They almost ran out of fuel in the lunar lander. So read all about it and celebrate this brilliant achievement of engineering. The computers they had on the mission had 1/100,000th the computing power of an old iPhone. Anyway, again, links to the Reuters article there as well. You've got polar images, all kinds of goodies. Maybe take screenshots of this, put it in your archive. Pretty rare to have these wonderful polar images, so shout out Reuters. Also, we have links to the Apollo 11 mission overview on the nasa.gov site. Check that out. Mission patch. The Eagle indeed landed, folks. Oh, that's a high res. Check it out. And I can't zoom out or in. My browser is locked. Let's move on. Post by NASA yesterday showing a fantastic spiral galaxy. Check it out. Super high-res Hubble image. Links to that article in the description also. And we're about done with this broadcast, folks. So that means that it's about to go back. Go back to the sun again. I'm going to play some more music real quick. And then we are going to teleport out of here. As if David Copperfield has a bunch of mirrors installed in the studio. Bonus features coming up, like Parker Solar Probe. Links to this article also from the University of Michigan. How come the outer corona is hotter than the inner corona? Watch the video, read the article. You may learn something about the sun you didn't already know. And thanks again for tuning into the smAsho stream. We're going to go over cosmic rays real quick in the bonus section. Here's Apache, and there's Barentsburg. Again, folks, we have had a KP of 0 for the past 6 hours, so let's look at Athens also. There's the Athens neutron monitor, nothing to write home about there. Also going to look at Mexico. That's Mexico City. Nothing special there. Next we'll look at Moscow. This is not a fake news Russian cosmic ray monitor, folks. It's the Moscow neutron monitor, and it's looking pretty normal. Next we'll look at Oulu, Finland, and 2 monitors in Antarctica, and then we will get the heck out of here. There's Oulu. There's Antarctica DOMC. Back to daily data only, as it is winter in Antarctica. And there's DOMB. And it's looking like a cold one. We're not going to look up Antarctican records, but we're going to go back to the sun. Show you another 48-hour video in 335 angstroms. Bring your comments back up. Hope nobody thinks the moon mission never happened. This is 48 hours, folks. I don't know why it's not playing, but that's 48 hours. We'll leave it at that size. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, leaving comments, etc. Please share on your social media. We're going to have shorter clips soon for you, and the format's all going to change. So reinvent yourself, folks. Reinvent yourself, because stagnation is death. And we're just going to scroll through all the comments. No promises on whether or not I'll be able to respond. Anyway, at least everybody viewing the videos will see your comments without even having to click on the annoying boxes below the video. But please click on the annoying boxes below the videos anyway. and support the channel if you are able. So thanks again for tuning in, folks. Please don't forget to stare at the sun. Celebrate the 50th anniversary of somebody landing on the moon. And remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink it. If you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.